Osio Taishu, Shadana Lai. I'm J. Winter Nightwolf, the originator and host of the American Indians Truths. I'm here today with an old friend and brother, Minister Louis Farrakhan from the Nation of Islam. I'm honored to sit with you again.
Thank you. It's my honor to sit with you and to be a part of your radio show.
We're going to move right along. I have some questions for you. And if you're ready, we can get started.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You know, you're working around the clock on this important event slated for October the 10th, 2015, that will take place on the National Mall. It must be taking a toll on your health, and you're spending large sums of money on the Justice or Else crusade. What do you hope to gain, and what do you hope to accomplish?
First, the greatest accomplishment of all is to unify our people and our struggle under one theme that rises above all personal and organizational agendas. And that theme is justice. Justice is a principle of fair dealing. It's the greatest of those principles. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us that justice is the law that distinguishes between right and wrong. It's clear that black people in America have not received justice, fair treatment, equal treatment under the law. It's clear that the Native Americans, the indigenous people of this hemisphere, have not been treated fairly or justly. It is clear again that our Latino family has not been treated fairly, justly. Again, it's clear that women who don't get equal pay for equal work have not been treated fairly. It's clear again that the soldiers who have gone away to fight for this nation, this last great war that has lasted longer than any other war, was fought on the basis of a lie, where the president lied, the Secretary of State lied, the Secretary of Defense lied, the intelligence community lied, and developed a policy that was not in accord with the actual facts. Not fair treatment. So when you look at all those who have a gripe and no real avenue for the redress of their grievances, what greater thing than for all of us to unite and form a great brotherhood seeking justice.
Now, I know that you have made considerable donations to the Haitian relief effort following that devastating earthquake, including a water purification system. Do you have any comment about the ethnic cleansing of Haitians from the neighboring Dominican Republic?
As you know, the Nepalese members of the United Nations Armed Forces, who were the victims of cholera in their own country, brought cholera to Haiti by pouring their defecation and other things into the river that flowed down into the capital of Haiti, poisoning the water supply. The United Nations is not treating the Haitian people fairly by admitting that this is what happened, so that reparation can be given to Haiti for what the Haitians have suffered behind the evil accident, or we say the tragedy of nature. So we invested in a water purifying system that could cleanse that water, and we thank God that we were able to give it to our brothers and sisters in Haiti, but they needed so much more. Now the Haitians are suffering between themselves and our brothers and sisters and their brothers and sisters in the Dominican Republic, who don't see the Haitians as their brothers and their sisters. This is the product of white supremacy at its worst. Because here you have two Europeans, the French and the Spanish, that brought Africans into the Western Hemisphere. It was the fight of Toussaint and Dessalines and Christophe and Boukman that brought freedom to the entire island that was called by Columbus Hispaniola. And now that the Spaniards are on one side and the French on another, the poison of white supremacy from a French perspective and from a Spanish perspective, now like a skunk. You know, when a skunk urinates on you, you have to really wash and clean to get the scent of the skunk off of you. And when the skunk is killed, there's a stench that lingers long after the skunk is gone. The French are gone, the Spaniards are gone, but the skunks that have poisoned the bloodstream of black and brown people, they created a brown people by intermixing their blood in the African blood, and then imposed on them Spanish language, French language on one side, Spanish culture, French culture, the hatreds that exist between France and Spain imposed on the people. And now the Brown family, made that way by the white man putting his blood into Africans and telling the lighter that you're better than your black brother, though there wouldn't be a brown man if there were no black man. We are the father of it all. So if you cannot honor and respect your own father and hate him after he got you your freedom, and then the United Nations will not sanction the Dominican Republic to force more equity and justice. This, if it continues, will lead to a terrible condition of strife. And I have brothers that are Dominicans, and I love them greatly, and I have Haitian family brothers that I love greatly, but the ignorance of the roots of their condition has to be exposed. And when you expose the root of a tree to the light, then that tree dies. The tree of white supremacy, its roots have to be exposed, that that tree may die, that we may live, regardless of race, creed, or color, in peace and brotherhood with each other.
And the stench remains.
And the stench remains.
I would like to turn your attention to issues closer to home. There's a solid archaeological evidence that African sailors, more specifically the Phoenicians, came to the eastern shores of the U.S. over 50,000 years ago and coexisted with native peoples. Also, several tribes became involved in international trade on the high seas through the Phoenicians. And for some time, they've always had this story that, oh, the Phoenicians were white sailors. In fact, they were not. They were black ocean-going sea merchants that had established international trade on the high seas long before the white man came to the Western Hemisphere. Our ancestors have been inextricably partnered for many millennia. There was a Native American presence in the last Million Man March. Since then, what has been the status of the relationships and alliances between our peoples? Have these bonds been strengthened? And if so, how? If not, why not?
To be very honest, there's always attempts by well-meaning people to put the black and the red together. I have been involved in that for nearly 40-some years, maybe more. But joining the black and the red still has to go through the white. The white people have infected the red and the black with attitudes that develop because of propaganda. And when we were slaves in America, many of the Indian tribes gave the blacks refuge in the tribal lands of our brothers and sisters, and they intermixed. So many of us show traits of our mixture with our Native American family. When Master Fard Muhammad came to America from Mecca to teach Elijah Muhammad, he asked us a question. And that question became part of a student enrollment. You couldn't even become a follower unless you recited the student enrollment. And these were called the rules of Islam, meaning that these were guiding principles of action. And the first question was, who is the original man? Well, some of us have never heard a question like that, so he gave us the answer. The answer is, the original man is the Asiatic black man, the maker, the owner, the cream of the planet Earth, the God of the universe. Now, many of the native people that you see today don't look like the native people that the Phoenicians found here 50,000 years ago. They were much darker complected. But any time the enemy conquers us as males of a tribe or a nation or a people, the prize, the booty is our women. So they come among us, they mix their blood among us, and as we get lighter, we come under their sway. So just as it was in the Dominican Republic and under the French in Haiti, so it is in the Americas with our native family. The native family told stories about us, and we were told stories about them. So we got to get through all of the propaganda, all of the lies, to build trust with each other. We've made some very good attempts, but the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, in those rules of Islam, asked us the question, what is the population of the original nation in the wilderness of North America and all over the planet Earth? And the answer at that time in 1930 was 17 million with the 2 million Indians, making a total of 19 million in the wilderness of North America, 4,400,000,000 all over the planet Earth. You are, as a native people, an indigenous people. When the Phoenicians came, you say 50,000 years ago, a white man wasn't on the planet then. So it was easy for us to intermingle with one another because we are blood of each other's blood and bone of each other's bone. But now, when we look at our native family, my God, you are powerful. My God, the native family is rich, but so are we. We are poor individually, but this year alone, our economy, they say, we will have $1.3 trillion coming through our hands. But we are consumers, and so are our Native American brothers and sisters. So the enemy makes us consumers where we used to depend on ourselves before he came. We were eating, we built our own homes, no matter how crude they were ours. We learned how to live, how to master the environment into which we were bred and born. But today, something has happened to us. The native people, from what I read, own 58 million acres of land in what is called the United States. We have over 300, some say over 500 tribes, 58 million acres of land. 3.1 million acres of that land is arable, productive land. And nearly 40% of that is in trust. I don't understand that. 58 million acres, and much of it is in trust to the United States government. Do you know what that word trust means? What does that mean? They hold on to the land and apportion it to our native family as they please? Is that what that means?
I can enlighten.
Please.
I can give you some information on that. It appears as though 150 years ago, when we were under constant physical attack, genocidal practices, that once we became, quote unquote, in their eyes, civilized enough to talk to, they told us that we will take your lands and you entrust them in us, and we'll watch out for you. And that was a trick. There were over 627 treaties signed between my people and the United States government that they've never lived up to. They have not kept one treaty in the entirety of the 150 years that they've been here. There were 1,200 original tribes, governments here in North America before they got here. We had a centralized government 30 miles east of East St. Louis called Cahokia. We would send our representatives from all 1,200 nations every year to sit in conference with each other. They did not have democracy. They did not know what democracy was until they came here and saw what we were doing. Their United States Constitution is not theirs. The Iroquois Confederacy from up in New York, 6 nations, they had the Great Law of Peace. And if you go to your computer and print out the Great Law of Peace and print out the U.S. Constitution and look at them, the parallels are so close. Benjamin Franklin and his thuggish friends befriended the Iroquois Confederacy and tricked them into taking the U.S. Constitution from the Iroquois Confederacy's Great Law of Peace. Our Great Law of Peace taught us how to live with each other, taught us how to love each other, taught us how to take care of each other, taught us how to treat our elders, taught us how to raise our children. And they stole all of that and incorporated it in that doctrine that George W. Bush considered as a GD piece of paper. And this is how they got their Constitution. They took it from us, brother.
Thank you so much, brother, for sharing that with us. Because we're dealing with a people that broke every treaty with the native people and told every lie and made every promise to us, none of which has been fulfilled. And if you go down to Haiti or the Dominican Republic or into Central and South America, he's done the same thing. So today, why should we trust a liar? Why should we trust a deceiver and allow that deceiver to come between us? So in those days, we could communicate with each other and we knew how to treat each other as we should be treated. We don't call that religion. We call that the nature of God that is in each one of us. We don't need a book. If we live what is in ourselves, we will live according to the law of justice. So here we are, my dear brother. Under Indian lands, according to what I read, the wealth is $1.5 trillion in material wealth that is under the ground. I visited Navajo land, the Navajo Nation, and I was amazed at what was under the land, but how much of it was being leased or extracted by non-Indians. So for me, my dear brother, the future is really ours. We are already on the last reserves of mineral strength in America. It's on Indian lands.
Let me tell you something. I'm working with the Apaches, and I'm working with the Navajos on some issues. They're coming to Washington, D.C. on the 21st, 22nd of this month to protest, to go to Capitol Hill, and hopefully give them help. But John McCain, Senator John McCain from Arizona, a few months ago, tried to give away the mineral rights to a British and Australian-owned Copper Mining Company. The Tonto National Forest is in Arizona.
Right.
And right in that conclave of land is where Apaches were slaughtered back in the 1800s. This is where the Apaches go once a month to do their spiritual and ceremonial praises and getting together as a people to bring them closer together spiritually. John McCain attempted to sell that land to Resolution Copper Mining Company. However, one of our Spanish-speaking Indian brothers, who just happens to be a representative from the state of Arizona, Raul Grijalva, got his hands in the middle of it and introduced a bill and took the legs out of right from under John McCain. This is what we deal with. We have so much to give, but so much that is in control of those that continue to oppress us, to oppress our black brothers and sisters, to oppress our yellow brothers and sisters, to oppress the poor whites. This is what we deal with. And if we do not stay on top of what they do and their tactics, they will continue to take. All throughout Indian country, Mr. Minister, in South Dakota, there are so many open pit uranium mines that they just left. The aquifers are poisoned. The people on Pine Ridge can't drink the water. They have to go out and buy water. The Navajos in Arizona, the little Colorado River runs through the reservation, but they can't get that water because some corporation says it's ours. It is not theirs. Nothing that God has put on earth belongs to any one group of people or any one corporation or conglomeration of corporations. I'm sorry to get off like this.
Oh, I love it.
But, you know, but the truth has to be told. And as long as we don't give the facts and tell the truth about what's going on, then we're doomed for destruction. We're doomed for destruction as an American Indian people, as black people, as the whole entire human family.
All the more reason why our unity and our bond of brotherly love with each other will give us the strength to overturn and force the land back into our hands. Break the leases that are sucking the lifeblood of the Native American people. We can't do it as long as you are where you are, we are where we are, and the tribes are not forming that great bond so that when they come to Washington on the 24th or the 22nd and petition, the government sits back and listens and say, yes, yes, yes. Away with you, because you don't have the power to make us do right. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said to us, even the devil will do good under the gun, but you gotta have it. And the gun that I'm talking about is not a pistol, but firing the cannon of our unity. They cannot, listen to me good, they cannot keep hold of that when we are united. We can force America to do right by us. Yes, we can. They cannot afford to see black, brown, red, and poor white unite for justice. That would end the tyranny of a government that is not for we the people, but an oligarchy that is for the rich and the powerful, and to hell with the black, the brown, the red, and the poor white. That's why I'm asking all of us to come to Washington together as a unit to speak to this government, and then there is an or else clause there. God never sends a prophet that he speaks to a government and a people and there's not a threat in the speech of the prophet.
You know something, brother? Every year since I've been on the air at WPFW, which is 15 years, I'm the only Native American voice on the radio east of the Mississippi on FM radio. Every year I ask my listeners and supporters to help me fill 2 to 3 53-foot tractor trailers of clothes and toys and food and medical supplies to take out to the people of Pine Ridge, the people of Rosebud, the 3 affiliated tribes in North Dakota, the San Carlos Apaches in Arizona. And people have been good in helping us do this. But you know, I'm hearing what you're saying, and it makes sense that if we were united, then we could eliminate poverty within our own communities.
That's correct.
If we were united, then we could stop the defamation of Mother Earth. If we were united, we could stop pollution in our waters. If we were united, we could bring an end to the pollution that comes from coal and digging for oil. If we were united, then we would be able to find the answers that our ancestors had, mine and yours, thousands of years ago, when God told us that we are the caretakers of the earth. We could find the way back to natural living through solar energy that's free, through energy from the water that's free. But as long as there's not a $ tagged on it, they're not interested. And they don't care about the people.
That's why, my dear brother, when you say if we were united, in whose interest is our division? It's in their interest. Because as long as we are not united, they can continue to do as they've been doing, and John McCain and the McCains of this country will continue to rob the Indians of the value of their land, keep us divided, keep us poor. That is their tactic.
That's their goal.
Now, if we know that, and we do know it, then it is in our best interest to knock down every artificial barrier that keeps us from that power that comes from our unity. And we don't have to send 3 trucks of supplies to Rosebud or to Pine Ridge. If we are united, the land that is under our feet that we have control over, we can feed, clothe, shelter, produce jobs, because it's all in the land. So some of my brothers used to say, free the land. And if the land and much of it is in trust, we need to free the land. And we can do it if we are united and, wait a minute, and we are willing to not talk about it, but be willing to pay the price to free the land. There is no freedom without the shedding of blood. I'm sorry to have to say that. Nonviolence is not going to bring the land back to us. Our unity will keep us from having to fire a shot. But if we are not united, the only way we're going to get what belongs to us is to make up our minds either to live to get it or die trying to get it. And when you are willing and not afraid anymore to pay the price for freedom, don't let this white man tell you that violence is wrong. Every damn thing that he got it by being violent. killing people, raping and robbing and murdering. He's doing it as we speak. And then he has the nerve to come and tell us that violence and hatred won't get it. Don't buy that. He's worthy to be hated. Worthy because of the evil that he does. God hates. I don't know why man think you're better than God when God in the Bible said he loved Jacob, but he hated Esau. In the Bible, he said no man can serve two masters. He'll love one and hate the other. They have made us little sheep that they can walk over and run over. But when we decide it's over, and we should make that decision, it's over. We're not taking it anymore, and we cannot pass on to another generation the legacy of our cowardice when we know the problem and won't move to erase the problem. That's our fault. We gotta change. See, one of the things that our ancient people knew, yours and mine, when it got to the point where they would be extinguished, they had to fight. Even if they lost, they had to fight. So the great warrior spirit came up out of us. Same with the blacks, same in Haiti, same in Central and South America, the Maroons. All of those came to a position where they had to fight. In that church, where 9 of our brothers and sisters were shot down by a skunk, how in the hell are we justified in offering him love and he offers us death?
Somebody asked me the other day.
Excuse me for my passion.
That's
brother.
okay. They asked me, can you forgive him? And I looked at him, I said, no, I cannot forgive him because he knew what he was doing. He was cold and calculated, and he was just fostering the same hate.
Who asked you that question, brother? Did he look like us?
Yeah.
Yeah, he's one of them.
Yeah, I know.
How in the hell? I mean, it's an insult to me
It is an insult.
that you're going to ask me, can you forgive? How long have white people been doing this kind of evil to the darker people in the earth?
So how long
Since
do we have to
they've been
continue?
here. And when we make up our mind, we're not taking it no more. Because it's better to be dead than to live under tyranny all the days of your life. This is why America separated from England. The tyranny of King George was too much for them to bear. So what did they do? They decided death is better. So it was Patrick Henry that said, give me liberty or give me death. And until we come up with that kind of mind, I'd rather be dead than to live continuously under this kind of tyranny. And when you think like that, you'll do what is necessary to move the tyrant off of you. With the help of God, we will win if we fight.
You
Excuse
have,
me.
no, you don't need to be excused.
Damn, you know, when I think about us
Yeah.
and what we've been through, and you and I are getting up in age. So tomorrow, God willing, I'm going to talk to the youth of 90 tribes. 90 tribes, youth from 14 to 22. What is their future? What kind of future will we give to them if all we can give to them is what we once had, what we once did, how we once lived, and today we're living under tyranny and oppression? No, we have to give our children a future, and the future is in the land, but the land is in trust. The hell it is. We can break that trust, but it's going to take unity to do it.
And
Believe me.
Speaking on that point of unity, a year and a half, a little over almost a year and a half ago, because of all the thousands of people that I've met over my years, conversations with people that look like African American people. And when you really get down to the nit and the grit of it and ask them, what's your ancestry? Oh, my grandma was a Cherokee, or my great-great-grandfather was, I think he was a Seminole. And because of the stolen heritage of American Indians with black blood and black people with Indian blood, I felt that it was time to bring about a new organization that we call NCBAI, the National Congress of Black American People, Indians. And when I made the announcement, in 6 months, there were carloads of people from California, Oklahoma, Nebraska, people that came out of the Wampanoag people in Massachusetts, people from busloads of people from Atlanta. They all converged upon Washington, D.C. at this little church that only seat maybe 2,000 people. The aisles were packed. They were outside all around the block. And I asked them, why did you come? Because I had to see my family. And I said, what family? I'm black and I'm Indian. And I have never been to anything where black Indians or Indians with black blood came together under one roof. This was the first time in the history of this republic that black folks with Indian blood and Indian folks with black blood were able to come together as a people and not feel ridiculed, marginalized, or subjugated because they stood up and told the world who they are. I would like to invite the Nation of Islam, and especially you, my brother, to be a part of who we are, because we are already connected by blood. So the celebration goes on.
I would like, building on that beautiful picture of black men and women who have Indian roots and red men and women, or Indian men and women that have some black roots. 10/10/15. That's a date that will go down in history. I would like to see all the tribes, those that know that their roots are intertwined, and those that don't. You have a legitimate grievance to put before the United States government. We have a legitimate grievance to put before the United States government. All other matters of justice are small in comparison to the red and the black. Even though our Latino family must have their grievances redressed, there is no grievance that anybody has that's more difficult to solve than the problem of the black and the red. May I say this, my brother? I was up in Pine Ridge with Russell Means at the Sundance.
One of my dearest friends.
I took my wife and my son. My son knew how to go in the wilderness and build a tent where they stayed. I watched my wife. They put a blanket over her arm because she has Indian roots. And they danced. My wife had never danced. But there she was with the women
in the circle.
in the circle of the Sioux Oglala Nation. And I watched my wife reach down in her roots, and you could not tell that she was not one of the Oglala Sioux women as she danced with them. The enemy has kept us apart, and we must break down these barriers, because the same spirit that I saw when Juanetta Lone Wolf invited me to the Sundance in the Four Corners with the Navajo and the Hopi, and the government was coming to take their land, and the Muslims went with me, my wife, my children. We went there to stand with the Navajo and the Hopi, not knowing whether we will have to fight to maintain that land. God blessed us. We didn't have to fight, but we went there to be with our brothers and sisters in a time of trouble. I'm saying that to say this. We cannot let 10, 10, 15 just be something with a few tribal members coming. The Indian nation has to show up with us and them and our brown brothers, because all of us are the indigenous people of this planet. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught us, Brother Nightwolf, I like that name, because the wolf does some work in the night. Poor cattle ranchers and others, they're afraid of the night wolf because he's going to eat. And we got to eat. And we got to provide food for our family, a future for them. And we can't be afraid to step up to what is demanded of us by God, to defend the life that he gave us and to pass on to our children a better life, even on our death.
You know what, brother? If you were to walk into any mosque in America and you just laid your hands on the first person or the third person or the fifth person that you see, you realize that you're laying your hands on a Native American?
I believe
there were only 8% of the slaves that came to America. So how is it that there are so many more people that they claim are black or African American? I think they got the numbers wrong, because a lot of Native Americans are the ones that they're counting as black folks too.
Well, we're really one.
Yeah.
We're not going to let them count this is Native American, this is black. Hell no. We are the original people of the earth. I remember a few years ago I was in Africa, and the Pope, I think it's John Paul, was pleading to the Africans to forgive the church for the evil that the church had done to the indigenous people. So while I was in Africa, he was saying that we should forgive. I put a message out to the Pope on African TV, And I said, Mr. Pope, you can't ask us to forgive you before you repent of the evil that the church has done to the indigenous people and make atonement for your evil, then ask us to forgive. But no forgiveness before repentance
And atonement.
And atonement. This is what I want to say to my silly black brothers and sisters who want to forgive. Want to forgive for what we've been through, the blacks in America, for 460 years, and the native people over 500 years. Forgiving is good. Peter said to Jesus, Master, how often should I forgive? And Jesus told Peter, 70 times, 7 times. That's an infinity of forgiveness. But let me say this to the forgiving family. Jesus was not saying forgive Satan. Satan was born to do evil. There's no forgiveness for him. There's destruction for him. It is you and I who have been made other than ourselves because of being under them. They bred their evil nature into us. So I'm looking at a red man, but I might be looking at my enemy parading as a Native American. Don't lie to yourself. You've been made white under your red skin, like we have been made white under our black skin. So you don't know what the hell you're dealing with when you deal with us, because one day we act like we are the real Native American, the real black man, the real Mexican, and then out of our mouth will come a satanic expression. Greed and lust. That's why we sell out our people. That's why on the Indian so-called reservation or Indian lands, there are leases to these white people who have literally taken the wealth from your land and made a few people rich. This is their pattern all over the earth. And it's this kind of Indian, this kind of so-called black man that is a stumbling block in the path of our progress. And I really say that we've got to clean up our act. And I tell you what I learned. 49% of those who inhabit native lands are not Indians.
That's true.
Well, wait now. How did they get everything from you and you have nothing? They come in posing as a friend. That's how they got Texas. They came in little by little. Then the next thing you know, they wanted to bring slavery into Texas, and the original Mexican would not have it. War broke out, and they took Texas. They took Arizona. They took New Mexico. They took California. You can't forgive Satan. And if you're dumb enough to forgive a devil that has been doing this ever since he's been on our planet, you deserve the death that you get from the hand of a snake who's walking in your midst, making you think that he wants to worship with you.
I know.
I tell you, brothers and sisters, I'm full. I can't help myself. I'm an old man now, 82, and I don't have no time to play with truth or to be diplomatic. To hell with you diplomats and your foolish diplomacy. Speak straight words, because those are the words that will bring about a change, not this delicate language. I want to be politically correct. How in the hell can you be politically correct when you're blind, deaf, and dumb and destroyed by your enemy? To hell with you and your political correctness. Be a man, be a woman, and speak the truth, and then die on that truth if it comes to that. Stand up. And we won't have to have these kind of radio broadcasts in the future. We'll be sitting down talking about what we have done, what we have built, what we have given to our children rather than what they are doing to us. They'll continue to do it until we say, never again, and mean it.
And how much we love each other. That's what we will be talking about.
Yes.
I'm Winter Nightwolf, and this is the American Indians Troops, the most dangerous show on radio, 89.3 FM. I'm sitting here today. I am honored to see my old friend and my brother, Minister Louis Farrakhan, and we're having a very candid, open discussion about the truth, about what's really going on in America as far as the Native American, the Black American, the Yellow American, the poor white American, the truth. And this is probably a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and I'm very happy to be sitting in front of you, looking in your eyes, talking to you. My grandfather used to always tell me that you always look a man in his eyes, because the pathway to the heart is through the eyes.
That's right.
And if you look away, you better be aware of that man that will not look you in your eyes. I want to ask you something, Brother Minister. You met with President Barack Obama when he was a U.S. Senator on Capitol Hill. At a Congressional Black Caucus meeting in 2005. Now that he is the President of the United States and one of the most popular speakers before black groups, in fact, he addresses the NAACP convention next week in Philadelphia. Would you invite President Obama to address the Justice or Else rally in October? And will Native America have an opportunity to speak as well?
Well, it's for the Native American.
Okay.
It's for the Mexican, the Latino. It's for us. Well, Moses, he might invite Pharaoh to come and have a word. I'll think deep about that. Because whenever they meet, they make sure I don't get an invitation. My NAACP brothers, my Urban League brothers, my African American organizational brothers, when they have their meetings, they don't invite me. And they don't invite me because if Barack Obama is going to be on the program, don't invite Farrakhan. So when somebody else is paying your bill, then they have a right to tell you who can speak and who can't, who can come and who can't. Mayor Johnny Ford out of Alabama told me when they had the 50th anniversary of the March on Washington, 80-some leaders were on the phone with our brother from the Urban League. who was chairing the telephone conference. Mayor Johnny Ford told me that he spoke. He raised my name and the name of the Nation of Islam. And he was very passionate that you can't have a meeting like that and the brothers of the nation not be involved. They're a part of us. And Mayor Ford told me that our brother out of New Orleans said, well, thank you for your passionate speech. And they went right on. Mm-hmm. And I was never invited. We invited them. At the Million Man March, they opposed us in the beginning, not all. But when the crowd came, it was like bringing cockroaches out of the darkness, or rats out of their holes, because there were nearly 2 million men there. I never, ever had a meeting like that and didn't invite the top leaders. In my hotel room, Reverend Jackson came. And he said, Brother Minister, how much time are you going to allot me? Now remember, I called this with the help of others, but I worked for 2 years touring this country, talking to black men to produce the spirit of that Million Man March. I didn't have to give nobody nothing. But when he asked me that question, I said, I can't limit you, Reverend Jackson, because I love him. I admire him. I thank God for the good that he and Reverend Al have done for our people. Speak until you finish what it is that you want to say. I know damn well none of them would say that to me. They don't want me on their programs, but they can come on ours. But this time, if you can't talk justice or else, stay home. This is not for politically correct jackasses. This is not for people who are not ready to confront a government that has denied us justice ever since we've been here. Soft talking, sweet talking, go to the red light district and use that kind of talk with the other fellow prostitutes. But leave me alone. If you don't want to be strong, then stay home. And I pray that God will bring a chastisement on all weak, cowardly men and women who will not secure a future for our children and our people. So I'll think about that one. I really will. Because he damn sure not going to upstage me. I'll let him speak, but I'm coming behind. And you don't want to be in my presence BSing the people and I'm coming behind you.
I hear you. Amen.
I'll wear your behind out. Let's go on to something else. Maybe this is too hot.
I just got one more question for you. One thing I could say about my brother is that I do appreciate his honesty, because there are too many so-called leaders that will double talk you and sweet talk you, and you never get anywhere. They never do anything for you. You spoke of the phony people of color in this world. You have condemned Boko Haram, and other Muslims in the Middle East and Africa which slaughter innocent Christians and other Muslims. What possible influence can your unarmed movement in this country have against those forces when the entire U.S. armed forces have been unable to subdue them?
Well, I have a power backing me that Boko Haram don't have. I have a power backing me that the government of the United States does not have. That's why I can speak truth to power and never shake. Because what is behind me, I will introduce you to that on 10-10-15. Yes, we don't need to be violent. We don't need any weapons. When the God that we serve gets finished with America, you all will know.
All right.
You all will know that a man of God has been in your midst. And every word that I say, you're going to meet it. And if you reject the truth and want to stay a fearful coward, then the Bible gives you the answer. A lake of fire for the fearful and the cowardly. So no, brother, we don't need to find no weapon. I'm going to introduce you to the power that's in the world today that backs me and us. And then let him display his power so you'll know I'm not just talking. Boko Haram, U.S. government troops. What is that to the forces of nature that God can unleash? He'll terrify you with gnats. They're watching a game in San Francisco with the Giants, and a mass of grasshoppers came in the stadium. Did they swing any more bats that day? Not that day. They ran for cover from grasshoppers. The God that we serve, that is on scene today, is the master of all of the forces of nature, and every one of those forces he's bringing to play now on America. Mark my words, after this program, watch for the weather again. Watch for more calamities and destruction. And if I am a false man, God will not answer me. Watch and be there on 10-10-15. And I'll introduce you to the power that backs me and us. I thank you, my beloved Brother Nightwolf, and all of you that love truth. Continue to listen to this radio program of my brother J. Winter Nightwolf. This is the truth, a station that will absolutely be terrifying those who hate the truth. May God continue to bless you. Bless us.
And you as well.
That the black and the red and the brown and the poor white will find a way to rise with us justice or else.
I want to personally thank my brother, Minister Louis Farrakhan, for being my guest today with his truth and his views. A lot of you have listened to my show, and a lot of you have criticized me. But when the truth unfolds, when the Creator's truth unfolds, then you'll see that this is not a game that I play. I serve warning to all of you that will continue to harm people of color, to continue to economically exploit people of color and poor white people. My ancestor, Sitting Bull, had it right when he said, the human family is what it's all about. My grandfather would always say, it's not about the pigmentation of my skin, or the color of my eye, or the texture of my hair, or the clothes I wear, or the food that I eat. He would always ask us as little kids, do you know what it's really all about? And we would say, what is it, Grandpa? It's how you treat my heart. That's what it's all about. So it makes no difference about the complexion of your skin or the color of your eye. It's how you treat my heart. Thank you so much, brother.
Thank you.
I am deeply honored.
I as well.
That's it for the Nightwolf Show. Danada, Goai, Wado. I love you all of you, even you that make it hard to love. I still love you. Peace and love. Talk to you next week.
Thank you.